there is a manipulative quality, seductive quality, deceitful quality to this character. It is fascinating.
Hi, I'm Dr. Paula Bruce. I'm a clinical and forensic psychologist in Beverly Hills, California. I've been in practice for over 20 years, and I'm going to be talking today about a bunch of movies and trying to understand the characters, trying to understand the psychology behind the characters, and hopefully talk about it in a new and interesting way.
If it was me dying on the sidewalk, you'd walk right over me.
I think there are a lot of questions about the Joker character, this portrayal of Joker in this way.
I do.
Is he crazy? Is this an example of a paranoid schizophrenic? And there's a question about whether what we're seeing in the film is really him in a delusional process, or is it him in fantasy? What seems much more likely to me about this character is that what you're seeing is as a result of a complex PTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Complex PTSD emerges out of developmental trauma that occurs from early in life, multiple traumas, repeated traumas, severe traumas that happen over a person's lifetime, one compounding the other.
Call the police. I'll tell you what you get. Call the police. Get what you deserve.
Yes, of course.
Is Nathan your friend?
My friend? Yeah, I hope so.
A good friend.
What's happening in the scene is that he is with the AI robot that has got to pass a Turing test. What is fascinating about the Donald Gleason character, they don't show it throughout the film, but you know that he has had probably a classic internet addiction kind of behavior, right? So we get to this scene where the lights go out. In a very seductive way, pulls the Donald Gleason character closer to her. The lights come back on, and you see the different part of her where she is playing for a different audience. So there is a manipulative quality, seductive quality, deceitful quality to this character. What does this mean about the Turing test? It is fascinating that corrupted, deceptive, manipulative, seductive behavior that is the most human. I certainly hope that that's not true. In fact, I really don't believe in my heart that that's true.
I'm just ahead of the curve.
So what follows is this question about dominance and control. He pummels him, throws him across the room, he's violent. Yet, it is really clear that he holds no advantage. It is his capacity to manipulate, to coax, to seduce, to humiliate, and all the things that he says to Batman as Batman pummels him. This is a man who, in this scene, portrays sort of a classic psychopath.
I'm going to jump and you're coming with me.
No, I'm
In
not.
this scene, there's a question about how do you know if something is real? If I say it's real and you don't think it's real, how can one know what's real?
Step back inside.
Outside the confines of this world that they've created, she's engaged in a perfectly rational, reasonable question of challenging reality and believing that her reality, as it is articulated in that moment, might not be accurate, that it might be a non-reality when it appears to be a reality. In the real world, a person that slips from reality to non-reality is having a psychotic episode.
Oh, no! Jesus Christ!
I never laid a hand on him, goddammit. I didn't.
It's obvious in the scene that what's happening in the scene is not real. So there's a question about what's happening with this character. Is he schizophrenic?
I'd do anything.
Is this a hallucination?
Any
Is he is this a paranoid schizophrenic? You know, he really demonstrates some symptoms consistent with that. But I wonder if that's the most accurate diagnosis. I wonder whether this character, what he's really reflecting, is substance-induced psychosis. And a lot of his delusional stuff starts to happen connected, like in this particular scene, which is quite pivotal, around the bar scene, around the party, around the merriment.
Could have happened to anybody. And it was 3 goddamn years ago.
So one of the things that you see with people who sometimes have substance abuse problems is their unwillingness to door their behavior. When Jack Nicholson is talking about his relationship with his son and the abuse that he inflicted on his son, where his son dislocated his arm, he blames his son. Well, I didn't do it that hard, or it was only for a second, or it's because of what he did. He doesn't take responsibility. And that kind of classic unwillingness to acknowledge that one is out of control, to acknowledge that one is causing harm, is really reflective of someone that's in the throes of addiction.
There's someone else in the hotel with us. There's a crazy woman in one of the rooms. She tried to strangle Danny.
Are you out of your mind?
Don't do that. He can't handle reality. My name is Jade. Has Dr. Fletcher been getting our emails? This is what we have to do. We can... As in 10:08, when Anna Paula suffered the shock, he's most...
Shows James McAvoy and his portrayal of a character that inhabits 24 personalities, but what we call now as a dissociative identity disorder, which is born out of trauma. So DID, of course, exists on a spectrum. So you can have very, very, very subtle moments of dissociation that people experience to, I guess, this would be definitely one of the more significant and severe presentations, which I have personally never seen.
Everything's fine now.
Kevin went over us.
Kevin is asleep.
When Kevin cycles through his personalities and he's with Casey,
You can call his name.
she calls out his
Okay.
name as a way
He's
of
not going to hit.
a way of activating, right? Trying to call up that particular character, and then the idea is that she's going to summon him.
12 unworthy
Um,
next time.
Doesn't quite work out